Hey guys, welcome to today's Office 365 Pulse. We are happy to have you guys. It's going to be a good show today. We have got Cathy joining us again, as well as Lori Gowin, two wonderful ladies that I get the awesome opportunity to work with in the SharePoint community quite a bit. So a little intro of myself, if you guys happen to be new to the show. My name is Jennifer Mason. I work at Planet Technologies. I'm a director of innovation and strategic projects, which really translate to I get to do fun stuff all the time. So always doing something fun and exciting and new. Love Office 365. Have a passion for business users. So set up this show so that we could just push information out to the audience, let them know what is new inside of Office 365, and then follow that up with the second half of the show with talking about something just community related or in the industry or something like that. So I've got two wonderful guests today, and we're going to be talking a little bit about women in technology at the end of the show, but I'm going to give them each just a couple of minutes to kind of introduce themselves. Maybe we can start with Lori and then go to Cathy, but I'm super thrilled to have you ladies here with us today. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Oops, Lori, on mute, sweetie.
I knew I was going to forget that. I even had my mouse button over it. Forgot to push the button. So I'm Lori Gowin. I work for Microsoft. I'm a premier field engineer. I'm usually better with technology than that example. I do a lot in the community, speaking at events, working with Cathy a lot and Jennifer as well on a lot of the women in technology things that we get to be a part of. It's really amazing to see some of the cool stuff that comes out of that. So looking forward to talking a little bit more about that later.
Awesome, cool. How about you, Cathy? Tell us about you. Most definitely. And everyone who is here, men and women alike, there is no difference for women in technology. Some of the stuff we're going to talk about just has to do with just basic stuff, just basic industry trends and stuff like that. So we encourage your feedback in the chat window. We'd love to hear from you guys as we're going through everything. So please feel free to share your feedback, put information in there. I'd love to answer questions and do different things like that. So Lyman, I think we are ready to switch layouts and I can start to share my sway. So as always, I created a sway for today's presentation that's got the links to everything that we have. You guys should be able to see that on your screen. You can always use the little 4 arrows to maximize if you want to see it on your entire screen. We also have a link to it up at the top in the Office 365 Pulse links. You should be able to get a link to today's sway as well as a lot of the other things that we're talking about. So feel free to check out those links and get that information. So a little bit about us in a sway to get started, but we kind of talked through that already. Office blog updates. So I feel kind of bad because for the last 3 episodes of the Sway and the Office 365 Pulse, I have done nothing but make fun of wearable technology. But the problem is I can't keep making fun of it if they're going to keep doing with it every stinking week. So as much as I do not want typing on a Word document on my wrist, I think it is happening soon. So the first update that we have there are just a ton of new wearable productivity. So on Apple Watch, we have Outlook, Wanderlust, Yammer, Microsoft Translator. And then on Android, we have the Microsoft Translator, OneDrive, and OneNote. So Lori, Cathy, do you guys have a wearable device yet? I know Lori's got a band. You kind of talk to Cortana with your band, right? Yeah.
I love it's charging because it needed to be charged more than the 20 minutes that I was in the shower this morning. But I wear it every day. I love the sleep tracker. Things that are going on. I've noticed patterns. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this better? Okay.
Yes.
So I've noticed like patterns with sleeping. So using it to track my sleeping, I've noticed it like with patterns of exercise and diet and all of that. So I think it does a lot of cool stuff. I like that it looks like a watch. So if I'm checking texts or emails or whatever, it's very quick and nobody notices what I'm really doing. In your face as, picking up a phone and holding it in front of my face. I like wearable technology. It's kind of cool. I think I'd have sensors all over my body.
Yeah, I have a Microsoft band, and I was just sitting here thinking about it, like, don't tell my husband. I don't have a clue where it's at right now. The last time I had it on, it died, and I got annoyed with it, and I remember we were traveling, and I put it in a bag. And now come to think of it, I don't have a clue where it's at. It bothers my wrist. So I'm one of the ones that keeps breaking out from the band, and then it just hurts when it's on, and it's still uncomfortable. So I don't know, but maybe I just need to go buy an Apple Watch or something like that. I don't know. Cathy, do you have an Apple Watch? Yeah. Now, I used to, when I had the Windows Phone and I had the Microsoft Band, I would talk to Cortana. But the only time I talked to Cortana on my band was when I was like on the treadmill. I didn't want to look at my phone, and an email came in or something like that, and then I would tell Cortana to remind me to do something later. So I must have looked like a idiot at the gym talking to my wrist like that. But that's about the only time that I really used it. Corey uses it and loves it. He always has his band on and just loves it. I think I'm gonna have to wait till like the second iteration of the band because it just like it bothers my hand and my wrist, and then I'm one of the ones that mine keeps peeling and stuff like that. But I didn't buy it at a Microsoft store. I bought it online, which means every time you exchange it, it has to go online. So we're like at a 3-week period to exchange it, and that just stopped being fun after the second time. So, yeah, I don't know about that. But crazy. So I think it's cool, and I think I have to stop making fun of them because they keep bringing out, like, really cool tools that are going to be used for them. I also don't think I'm going to go buy a $500 watch anytime soon. Like I said, my $100 one is somewhere, and I don't know where. So maybe after the webcast, I'll have to go look for it and find it. I really don't know where it's at. That is a good point. And then I could think of all the things I could do with $500 besides checking my. I can pick my phone out of my pocket. Oh well. Oh well. Like I said, I just gotta stop making fun of it. Um, I'm just so not I'm like a person. Like, get out of my lawn. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know new technology. Like, it's so bad. Oh well. Oh, maybe. Yeah. Too funny. Who knows? All right. So that was yeah. Yeah. So do I really need that? Of course, my kids. That'll probably be their first watch. Well, not really, not until they're able to buy for it, because I'm certainly not going to buy them something for $500. I don't even know if they're $500. I think, aren't Apple Watches like around $500 or more?
I thought
Maybe?
they were like
I don't know.
250.
Okay, 260, that's still, okay. So I have just go with T-Mobile, and then it's really easy to get new iPhones and new phones. T-Mobile's the best for that. Just go trade it in whenever you want to. Little plug for T-Mobile there. Um, totally random. All right, so the next thing that we have, this one's actually pretty cool. They're getting big on the partner space, right? Like they want partners to be building apps for Office 365 and the different Office applications. So they've highlighted some different apps that have just come out that you can use within Outlook. One of the really cool ones is Uber. So let's say you have, this is great for Cathy because she travels all over the world. So Cathy's, on a flight. She's got a calendar announcement letting her know she's going to land in LA. And, she lands at the airport and her phone bings her and says, hey, would you like us to order you an Uber? That's kind of cool, right? So based on your calendar, it will remind you and let you order an Uber. So I think that one is pretty slick. I haven't used that one mostly because, well, I work from the suburbs in Dallas, Texas, and I just drive my car if I want to go somewhere. So I'm not traveling as much. So I don't know, Cathy, have you seen that one? I'm sure you're a big Uber girl. Oh, yeah. Is Uberable a new word? I think it sounded great. Uberable. I like that. How do you spell it? Use it in a sentence. No, I'm kidding. I love it. I love it. No, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. How about you, Lori? Are you a big Uber fan or anything like that? This got a lot of Microsofty attention. So did were a lot of buzz internal talking about it and different things like that?
I've actually heard more about the other ones, especially Boomerang lately, but I am an Uber fan. I haven't installed the app yet. I'd like to try it out. I'm very frustrated with my lack of Uber ability with my phone in Chicago in May. If that's a word, we're going with it, Cathy. So, so,
Yeah.
so I'd like to try it out. We'll see how it works. Maybe I'll try it too. We can all do that.
Okay, we'll see. We will give you our adventures in Ubering. Um, um, so cool. All right, so then the next one that Lori was talking about is Boomerang, and I actually pulled that up so I can show you guys that one in just a second here. But Boomerang is one that's going to allow you to do different things, like if you send an email, it's going to say, hey, when do you want me to remind you about this email? Like, if somebody doesn't respond in 2 days, how about you go ahead and, so let me pull this up here. let me go ahead and remind me in 2 days if there is no reply. It's got different things. Send it later so you can schedule different things, and then share my availability and my calendar, which is really cool because if I have somebody that's not that doesn't have access to my calendaring system, I can send them open time slots. So this one is pretty cool. Jeremy Thake has been all over Twitter and Facebook talking about Boomerang and stuff like that. And I installed it, and it looks pretty cool. My biggest downfall is still that I use the Office client. I'm about to issue myself a challenge where I was going to try to go an entire week. I'm thinking maybe I'll do it next week, where I'll go an entire week and not open the Outlook client and just try to use the web Outlook, because I think the Outlook web has actually got better features right now than my client, and I hate that because I'm so used to using the client, but I think I'm going to give myself a challenge next week to just use OWA. Let's see, what do you think, Cathy? Yeah, you've been using it, you said, with your customers? Yeah. Yeah, I haven't used it yet. How about you, Lori? Have you been able to use it?
I like Boomerang. I've played with it a little bit, and yeah, I think you're right. Though the Outlook on the web has so many more features. I find myself going, how do I do this again? I'm in the client. I'm like, oh, I got to go to the web. I'll close it and go to the web, and then I end up staying in there for the rest of the day. So it's definitely a lot better. I think there's features and options there. It's amazing.
Yeah, it kind of makes me want to say, could you just hurry up and get to the point that you've got Outlook and Word and all of those features? Could you just get to the point where you're pushing out feature updates to my client all the time? Okay, thanks. That would be awesome. They'll probably get there eventually, but yeah, Outlook is one that it's like, hey, you're giving them all sorts of cool stuff on the web, but you're not necessarily giving it to me and my client. So, but I also have zero technical reason that I have to use the client. It's just what I've always used. Like, I go in the morning and I open Outlook and there it is. So, like I said, I'm going to do my challenge next week. I will let you guys know on the next polls how I've survived my challenge of not using the Outlook client for an entire week. Ooh, and that might be hard because next week is SP TechCon. We'll see. We'll see if I do the challenge next week or the week after. But that's that one. So they have other apps coming. There's a Yelp app coming. That could be interesting. I wonder if that's going to help us find where should we eat based on locations and different things like that. Wunderlist, and then If This Then That. So pretty cool apps that are coming, I think. There's also Evernote. I'm not a big Evernote user because I'm a OneNote user, so I've never really used Evernote, but you have Evernote integration now, as well as PayPal, which I guess if I wanted to start giving payments to people through PayPal, I could do that. I don't really know. Like, that's one that I don't know. I mean, my bank does that right now. So if I need to do a payment for somebody, I can just go to my bank and set it up. So I don't know that I would I don't know, but you could do that too. So lots of cool stuff. So that's kind of those. I feel like I'm giving you guys a letdown with the next one, because the next one is that the tree map and sunburst charts have rolled out to Excel. Yeah, I guess if you're a data nerd and you need these charts, they're there and you could use them. I even read through the examples and stuff like that. It's really cool of a way to break down data. I don't know that I'll be using it in my everyday, every day of working with data and doing these different things, but I guess it's kind of cool. Like I said, the Excel and the Power Pivot teams there and the Power Power BI teams and stuff like that, I think they roll something out every Tuesday. It's just like clockwork. Something new comes out. So Excel is going to secretly take over the world probably, but you know. I don't know, Cathy or Lori, do you guys ever use these charts or I don't know. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
but I
me
probably
either. That's true. Yeah.
me neither. Most
You
of
could do your shoe collection, and you could map that out in Excel, and that's not the thing in your life that would have the most line items. Ooh. Yeah, yeah, by color, by heel, by style, what state she got them in, what event she wears them to. This could definitely need a sunburst. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it, love it, love it. Okay. Um, the next one is the review of Skype for Business on iOS and Android. I haven't downloaded this one yet. I saw that it came out. But it's definitely, I mean, it's there. They've been talking about it for a while, so I guess I need to download it. Cathy, have you downloaded it yet? I try not to Skype on my, especially Skype for Business on my phone too much because I do it all day at my desk, so um, I don't necessarily use it on my phone. I probably should more. That's true, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess maybe I've been so used to not using apps on my phone since I've had a Windows phone for so long that I just don't even worry about it. Yeah, I didn't realize that. That's good information to have, though. You'd think they would do it different, but I don't know. I don't know. They sometimes the way they roll things out confuses me. Yeah, that'll be awesome. The next one, I feel like we were like super high with like yay boomerang, and then we were like ugh. with the sunburst. And then we were like, okay, we've got iOS apps, woohoo! And now we're going to this one, and I just want to shake my head and say, why? So Yammer came out with a blog post last week talking about optimizing Yammer for teams and different things that they can do with groups and teams. And I just wanted to be like, people. We have SharePoint sites that teams are using. We have groups, and now we're optimizing Yammer for groups and teams because this can't cause any confusion at all. And it's a long list of updates that they made. So it's people using Yammer for Teams, which is great. I guess if you're a heavy Yammer user, then you're likely not using the other tools, and then this could be good. But I found it, like, I just shook my head when I read it and said, why? Why did you need to come out with this? Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, they all look great. I mean, it's like being able to mention people in line and different things like that. It's very, yeah, like Deb said, it's still like very separate silos. Like, could we just have one story for how we work with teams? And maybe one story won't work, but how about one unified story across maybe different channels to do it instead of this? So, I don't know. Lori, you come from the blue badge, so you'll have a nice, softer feel to it. So I think I should let you talk so I'm not just, Debbie Downer.
It's as confusing to those of us out in the field as it is to you guys. We have the same thing. Like, my customers ask me, well, when do we use groups? When do we use teams? When do we do this? And I have to point to, there was a white paper that, I think it was Richard Harbridge and somebody else, I can't remember who, put out this, and it was like 65 pages long on when to use Yammer, when to use a group, 65 pages. That's crazy. No user wants that. Just give me a simple answer. So I don't know I don't know how to get that changed or any of that, but I'm in the same boat as you guys. It's just as confusing to us. Yeah. Cathy, do you use Yammer? I go into Yammer when I'm invited to a new group, and then I set up email alerts. I still work out of email. It's just easier for me. So.
Is this better, Pamela? Cathy, have you had customers come back and scream on this one yet? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's the hard part. Like, some of this stuff doesn't, like, I know, like, groups and some technologies and some people are going to go to groups and it's just going to be easier and it's going to be what makes sense. And some are going to go to team sites and some are going to go to Yammer. And maybe having 3 different options isn't necessarily a bad thing. What I struggle with is I don't like then seeing blog posts like this that are like, woohoo, we're making teams work better in groups inside of Yammer, because it's kind of like, that's not a cohesive message. It just causes more confusion and frustration. So I'm not like super not super loving it, but I don't know. I'll give it to them. They did make the group experience better. There's a couple of groups that I'm involved in, like the Office 365 network, and there's some groups that I'm involved in more rapidly, so I'll go in, and so having these features is actually going to be really nice. But at the same time, I just wish the messaging, like sometimes I wish like you could just make them all sit down and say, here's our editorial calendar, and here's the messaging that we're pushing out. But Eric posted for us I was going to say, Eric posted for us the link to the white paper that Lori referenced, as well as the link to the Ignite session that Richard Harbridge and Conwell did. So if you guys are interested in checking those out, those are both in the chat room links. So. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, oh well, I think they'll get there. And I guess really all that we can encourage our audience to do is to just kind of take it as it is, work through, and try to explain to your users when to do what, and hopefully the confusion will go down. I think the confusion's going to go down. I just think it's a timing thing, and we've been in this awkward state for quite a long time now. Let's see, we have a couple more updates. The just managed to lose my mouse. The other one that we have is there is a garage series show on updates to Office 365 and managing them. Recently in the past, Julia White has said that there were 450 updates to Office 365 this year so far. 450. That is insane. And keeping up with and managing that and staying on top of it, that's just great. I mean, that's just a lot of updates and a lot of changes and a lot of things that are rolling out. So they did an Office Mechanics show, which is a really great show. Jeremy Chapman does those, where he goes in and they're usually about 10 or 15 minutes. They're usually with Microsoft representation, so you're kind of getting it straight from the source. And they go in and they talk about it. And so the thing that they talked about most recently was this change management and how to deal with the change. And they kind of highlighted and talked through how things roll out. So they go to feature teams first, and then the Office 365 team, then all of Microsoft back into that dog food environment where they're eating their own dog food. And then it goes to first release, and then it goes worldwide. And so it's kind of, they're walking through the process and saying how you can stay on top of it, which staying on top of it is still the roadmap and the roadmap, the Office blogs, and then the message center. So those are the different pieces right now. So that was a little interesting show that you could watch to definitely, stay up to speed on things. So all good stuff there. I'm trying to tell if we lost Cathy. It kind of looks like she's praying. Nope, she's there. Okay. I love it. I love it. I was like, her eyes are closed and she's looking down. Is she frozen? Does she just need a moment? Yeah. I don't know what's going on. I didn't know. The other thing that we have is just a case study. So Catalent is a pharmaceutical tech company that switched over to Office 365. So I just wanted to push that out there so that everybody could see it. So those are kind of our updates for the week. I think Lori is still with us on the mic, but she might be gone on the well, she is gone on the camera. I think she's still with us on the mic, right? Are you there, Lori?
Yes, I'm here.
Lori's here.
Can you hear me?
Sweet. So, what we wanted to do for the second half of the show today was to talk about just women in technology. And so Cathy, Lori, and I both work with the Women in Technology community group. It's really, Cathy does so much work with it. It's kind of her baby, and she nurtures it and keeps it going. So I kind of feel bad saying I work with it because I don't, not nearly as much as these other two. But I love it, and I love what it stands for. And so I thought it would be a really great opportunity to just kind of bring that up, to ask questions, to just kind of have a conversation about the Women in Technology site, and then talk through just some industry things that we've seen going on lately and different things like that, and just kind of have an open conversation. So I thought we could start out with maybe like interview style. I did this to Cathy last time she was on the Pulse too. I didn't tell her any interview questions and just put her on the spot. So she does really well in that role. But I would like to just kind of start out and Cathy, let you kind of tell us is like, what does Women in Technology stand for, and how is it important in the community, and just kind of that overall perspective of the group, and what you want to see out of the IT Unity site, and different things like that, and just kind of give us, a state of the union for it. Yeah, I mean, I love that. I think that one of the big things is that it's about celebrating the differences, right? Like there's big differences between men and women, and we can celebrate that and pull from the best of everybody. But one of the things that is really great is when you are a woman in technology, it's hard to maybe not be surrounded by like-minded people, because it means that you have to navigate things differently, and things may take you longer to navigate and think through different things like that in terms of, oh, this is just a different situation and I need to relate to it differently. And it has absolutely nothing to do in some cases with getting treated differently because I'm a woman, but it's celebrating those differences and encouraging women to be able to navigate through and understand the situations and just be able to grow and be the best that you are. But it really doesn't necessarily have to do with man versus woman or anything like that. And I think that's one of the ones that we were going to talk about was the I look like an engineer thing. And I think that is one of the ones that I absolutely love that came out, because that's like, dude, we all are. Like, I look like an engineer. I am one, right? Like, everybody is. And you could be a man or you could be a woman. And so it's understanding where the differences are and just building up a community and being able to relate to it and to do different things. And so that's why I think it's great to have just a community of like-minded people that you can just learn from and go with. And I mean, it's different being, and it's different being siloed in the industry where, you know, you're in a group with differences, and the differences are all over, and you have to learn how to navigate the differences. So having others that are going through that and being able to reach out just becomes a very nice, a comforting thing, a safe place where you can go and do these things. And so that's one of the reasons that I love the group. And it doesn't mean that I'm always in a group of guys that are being rude to me. I work with the best group of men that encourage women in technology and encourage me, the community, excellent guys. And so it doesn't really have anything to do with me being segregated or me being treated different. It just has to do with, you know, in most cases, there's always cases, but in most cases, it has to do with me just being able to celebrate my differences and take those celebrations that I can have with others and the camaraderie that I can have with others and applying it to my day-to-day. So Lori, why don't you give us your thoughts and your feelings on this one?
I'm assuming you're asking on the I look like an engineer one? Is that correct?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah?
I did. I quickly snapped some pictures and participated in that. I thought it was a great campaign. It all started with this girl that was asked from her company to come, hey, we're doing some pictures. And there was 3 or 4 different people, and she just happened to be one of them. And they made this campaign, a hiring campaign, trying to hire engineers for their company. And then there were people that looked at her picture on the wall amongst these other people and said, that's offensive. Why would you think an engineer would look like that? And she was like, but I am an engineer. I look like an engineer because I am one. And she just kind of wrote a blog post about it, and it just kicked off this huge thing on Twitter. I mean, it was just an amazing thing to follow. And as I was looking through, men were posting, women were posting, different races, different genders, even little girls that were doing things with technology, and their goal is to become an engineer. We're posting pictures, you know, future engineers. So I just thought it was really an amazing thing that an engineer doesn't have a specific look. It doesn't look like one gender or another or one thing versus another. It's actually all of us that are participating in this that can be engineers. And so I wanted to jump into that really fast and say, yes, I'm an engineer. I know I don't look like an engineer. I'm not what you would think of an engineer. Half the people that I bump into on a day-to-day basis would never know unless I told them what I do. So we can't stereotype what an engineer is, just like we can't stereotype what a designer is, what a programmer is versus any of these other things. So we need to understand that none of us look like any one thing except what we are, and that's people and humans. And we need to respect and love each other and appreciate that all of us can do different things.
And it's awesome. Like, I love that some of the pictures I saw, people in the I Am an Engineer were definitely suited up, like ready to go into an executive meeting and run it. And then others were like wearing their flip-flops and shorts. But you know what? It's okay. Like, it doesn't have to fit into any one bucket. Let's just celebrate. When we talk about, getting people involved in engineering and science and math and all of these things, like, it's okay to celebrate all of the diversity inside all of it. And so I love that campaign because I felt like it turned into a celebration of experiences and people, and it wasn't necessarily gender-sided on any front. And so that is one of my favorite campaigns that has come out recently. And it wasn't even meant to be a campaign. That's the best part about it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. Um, that's one of my favorites, and it also made me think of one of the other campaigns that Lori is always talking about, and I think every time she does a reference. And I think this one is kind of like a similar one, and that's the Run Like a Girl campaign. And I know that's not necessarily a new campaign, but Lori, I love to just even hear you talk about this one because this is the passion that I hear when you start talking about it and get excited about it. It's just really good stuff. So we kind of talked about the I am or I look like an engineer, and so let's kind of jump over now and spend a little bit of time talking about the Run Like a Girl campaign.
All right. So, yeah, this is one that I just stumbled across one day. I wasn't actually, it wasn't something that was on big news or something. It may have been at the time that it was originally released. It was probably 6 months or so later when I stumbled across it. But it was a study where Always had gone in and had adult people, men, women, and asked them to run like a girl or swing like a girl with a baseball bat or whatever, and they did this floppy, silly thing. They asked little girls, young women, 10 and under, 12 and under roughly, to do something like a girl, and they just did it with all their might. And seeing how that like a girl has become such a negative thing really impacted me, and the language that we use towards each other and how that can be taken as very negative. And it's inspired me, and this is why I talk about it a lot, because I think the language that we use, we can change that negative impact. Doing something like a girl can be powerful, and it doesn't have to be silly or not as good. So we need to start watching the words that we say and how we talk to, especially those that we're mentoring, those younger women coming into careers, or even as young as middle and high school, because that's really where it starts, is once they hit that 11, 12 age, they start getting that negative, you can't because you're a girl. Just last year, I actually was at a meeting at one of my student or my child's school, and the teacher that was in there literally said, girls can't do math. And I jumped up and was like, excuse me? I was a math person. Like, I love math. You can't say girls can't do math. And you're a teacher and you're influencing these girls. You've got to change that. Girls can do math. Girls can love math. learn how to teach them. Because that's really the big thing. If you start telling them they can't, then they're not.
Hey, Lori, put your mic closer.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. You must have got all excited and moved.
All right. So I'm still here. But I really feel like the language we use and what we say. I feel like the language we use and what we say is such an influence.
But something that's so awesome is when I think about it is, and I think back to conversations that I had in college with my grandmother and grandfather. I was a computer science major, and my grandfather and grandmother on my dad's side. So for those of you guys that know grandma that lives with me, this is not this grandma. This is the other one. But they would have comments about, Jenny, what are you going to do when you graduate college and you aren't married, and what are you going to do? And it was like, well, what do you mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to go get a job. This isn't a problem. And then my dad would try to explain, no, mom and dad, this is just different. This isn't the generation that you grew up in. And then when I talk to my dad and I can talk to him about how it's different for men and women in technology, and he'll say different things. He was a professional. He kind of knows, and just different attitudes that he has. And then I talk to those that I'm in the industry with now, and it's a constant changing and improvement. And I look at what's coming for our next generation of both boys and girls growing up in the industry. And I think that there's a lot of things that are problems for us today that aren't going to be problems for those in the future. And there's problems that women before me had that I don't have because they were able to work through them. And it's just kind of changing perceptions and different things like that. So I think it's very encouraging to see that while all of these things are happening, I mean, even in my lifetime, I've seen just a change. And from when I started to where I'm at now, and just seeing kind of just a different embracing of it. And Deb's talking about roles have to play in it. I do definitely think that different locations in the country have a different place with this one as well. And so it's just interesting. It's all things to that we just have to kind of work through. But that's what's great about groups like this, is we're able to kind of embrace that and find others and kind of share that common thread, which is just wonderful. So we've got 5 minutes left. So Cathy, I'm going to kind of give you the floor and let you kind of, wrap us up and talk about maybe some of the different things that are coming up for women in tech, and give people some guidance on how they could get involved in different things like that, and kind of wrap us up with those types of things. That is perfect. You covered it all with just the right amount of time to get us going up on time. I love it. Um, I think Lyman is going to switch us to our last layout of the day, but we're going to talk about, we've got the next two pulses have been set up. So next pulse is September 2nd. I've got a special guest, Tasha Scott, and we're going to be talking about Project Server and some of the work she's been doing with Project Server. So it's kind of going to be like a day in the life of Tasha. We're going to get to hear, which will probably have some fun stories because she's just a hoot. She's so fun to hang out with. And then the following show, we're going to have Corey come back and give us an update on Windows 10. So we've been talking about Windows 10 quite a bit on the Pulse just because it's coming, but we're going to talk about, okay, people have started rolling it out. What are the industry trends that we're seeing? What are the gotchas and the things that we need to worry about? So we have got a couple of really great shows coming out. We also have, if you go to itunity.com/Office365Pulse, you're going to be able to get the landing page for the Office 365 Pulse and get access to all of the previous shows, get the recordings to previous shows and different things like that, so you can get that content and then register for the next show. So we have some of those things coming out. We also have some new we're going to try a new platform, so we're going to be switching from using Adobe to using another platform. So some of the audio and video features that we're seeing, we're hoping are going to be improved as we switch to that new platform. So as always, we are so thankful you guys joined us. It's been a great show. Thank you, Cathy and Lori, for coming. I always love when I get to hang out and chat with you guys, especially on these types of things. So I think it's going to be awesome. So we'd love to hear any other comments that you guys have. But other than that, everybody have an amazing day, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks, guys.